Oh, hold on. Yeah, here we go. There we go. All right. Mr. Blows Your Mind has come to town. That's right. I know. It was probably the 24th, probably the 25th. Actually, it was the 23rd, and then something happened the 24th, and then it said 25th, but you know, somebody was out there fidgeting with the date. So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into today's show. Some of y'all are probably still stuffing your mouth with some of that food or watching the game with family members and so forth. So, I don't think y'all going to be here on the live, but if you should be here, again, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get our intro.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
You feel, however, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. Mm-hmm. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
Men and women and children were brought to our shores in chains, subjected to unimaginable cruelty. My nation's original sin was that period.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. I am your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome to We Up Report. Coming on they call it a national holiday for Christmas, supposed to be about Jesus, or you could say Yeshua. Or it could be also just a commercial day that there's a lot of people getting paid so they won't be in the black. But anyway, some of y'all are here. Maybe got your family members watching. May not, maybe be by yourself. Might be with a homie. Say, hey man, I listen to this cat here. Sometimes you come with something. Sometimes you just listening. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming here and listen to the WeUpReport show. First and foremost, I want to say what's good to all my fam, the one that should catch the replay and so forth. What's good, fam? Hope everything is going well with you and yours. I know it's cold in the way they say a whale digger's butt, but try to stay out there and don't drink too much and, get by day to days. But pass by. This is the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Have to go down the aisle, see something that make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth. Don't need no partner. So, today being December 25th, 2022, there's been some things that's been on the topic lately. One in particular is the fact that we see that, as my thumbnail will show, right? A new original deal to renege original sin. Let me say that one more again. A new original deal to renege original sin. Now, Mr. Blows Your Mind, what do you mean by that? Well, what I mean is, you see the two there toasting, right? This is national. This is nations. This is nation business. Now, Mr. Blows Your Mind is not, that's not my business to interfere in those two nations' business. But as you see on your thumbnail there, who you see in the background? who you see standing there is representing, like looking at my man like, hey, wait a minute, how you doing the deal? Like you gonna propose some deals, but you see who I got behind me and all the stuff I set up, and then they knocked me off of that. When you gonna take care of that? You get what I'm saying? When you gonna take care of that? You ain't gonna take care of that. As a matter of fact, the original deal, if we gonna, now again, for those who might hear the replay and those who may just be hearing me, how about this? We know there's two stories going on here, right? We know there's two stories that we are working this. Let's say we're working the kinks out so that we can get to the truth. One particular story tells us about, well, we was on a boat, come across the Atlantic Ocean. There was some deals that was made on the continent, and that's how we originated in this land that we call today the United States. But then there's another part to that where many brothers and sisters are out here doing that work and showing that when you go into your family's background and tracing it, because it seems like everybody that comes here around us tells us that we have no culture, we ain't got no lineage, and that the only story that we can be stuck to is that what they tell us on the boat. But many of us are doing our research, we're going back in our families, and we're finding that names are taking us back to places and taking us to other things. And so there's a question mark when it comes to dealing with that particular story. But since that is the story that they sell, according to these two nations that's right here, because again, some of everything about skin ain't our kin. But in some case, some people say, oh, that's blasphemous that you sitting there saying that, well, now you trying to say we're not African? Well, how about this? If I'm an African and that individual in the two people in the picture got to be African. If we, until there is the story told that where these other folks come from, then that means every people on the planet, if we gonna say all came from that continent, you can't just label me. That means whether they, I'm about to say something, but whether their eyes are not too straight, whether they come from down under, they are all Africans. In that, if we're gonna go with this story, that humanity started from Africa, right? So is that what we really want to use? Can we have been on the planet as long as we've been on, and then that may be the origin of descent? But when we sprouted and went other places, you became the people of the nation that you built? Well, some people may disagree with that. Some people may say, man, come on, man, you know we all Africans. Well, with that being the case, I have to say, well, if you're going to make deals and you see that we in the background, then I think some of them deals need to be with us in mind. Let me say that one more again. I think that since the original deal that was made, that put us in the position, there can never be a new deal or original new deal until you dealt with the original sin, which is of their nation. What they talk about their sin is, right? That's where their sin come from. And you know, when they use that, when they talk about sin, right? You know, that's a Christian theology, right? When they talk about the original sin, right? The condition of sin that marks all, they say all humans as a result of what they call Adam and Eve was the first obedience, the act that created this mark that is blemished all mankind. So even they, with all that has been done, still don't take the responsibility and say that what we've done, we take it up. Now they use a term that is a doctrine that comes from the original sin, which means of depravity or tendency to be evil, held to be in a humankind and transformed again from Adam to the race and to the consequences of his sin. Right? So again, we got somebody else to put this on, but we're still not going to take it for ourselves. We have to put it somewhere else. Put that back up there one more again, sir. Right? Put that back up there again, sir. There you go. So again, the original sin, the sin that's said to be inherited by all the descendants of Adam. Now again, we talk about the word descendant because they say that we have to be Africans. And that other one can't be African, but if all come from one place, then all must be African. I don't understand how y'all play that. See, some of those like to get mad at us. They say, y'all playing the skin game. They're playing the black and white game. Well, I'm going to play the origin game. And if we origin there, then they origin too. So we can get that out the way. They where they is, we where we at, you where you from, right? So with that being said, we ain't playing the skin game because everybody seems to hate to play the skin game when it comes to race. But when it comes to the origin of man, until it is proven otherwise, where do all people come from? So you're going to have to accept that, or you're either going to get rid of that. So this original sin is inherited accordingly, going back to all those who subscribe to that doctrine of Christianity, Catholicism, right? They say that the original sin is from Adam and Eve and committed the original sin and made it, talk about the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden, right? That's where they get that original sin. So they say, as you heard Joe Biden sit there and say, the nation's original sin. Well, what is the nation's original sin? Has something to do with that original deal, right? That original deal. And so a lot of people would not like to hold the feet under the fire to one part because there's supposed to be affinity, a kinship, a descendancy towards that. But how you got put in this situation, you can't get one without getting the other. So, but as you go into this show here, you're going to see that some of the things that had been said, again, we have to ask ourselves, if you're going to make a deal and we're supposed to be fam, that's our family, as they say, according to that story that they said, right? Then if that be the case, and we've been here from the time of whatever say the story began to where it is now, and that we see that a nation now is in need of you, then it should be by, let's say, it should just be by nature to understand that, okay, we couldn't come get you when we should have came and got you, but since now that they need to go reverse and some help, then I think this is a good opportunity to make them push the envelope to do something about the situation that originally you helped to cause to where we are today. Do I need to say that one more again? Maybe I don't need to say that again, but maybe I will say it again. Again, if you was the one in the beginning but made the creating of that original sin, and now you in the situation to repair it, and the person who made the original sin that is accepting that as his original sin, then in your deal, if we family, then you should be saying what? You need to make some kind of negotiations that has something to do with us in it, right? Otherwise, there can't be no deal. But we'll go on, let's see some of the things that they talked about. But again, this original sin is the one they say in the United States of what they talk about, those of us who Black Americans who historically who come from the lineage of the people who come out of those southeastern lands. You see the last show I did, my hypothesis was on theory, was based on the fact that there's the same thing that they call the trails of tears, that those that was in the southeastern part seem to be the same places that many of us that come from the south come out of those lands, did we not? And so with that being said, we have to say, okay, all right, that be it. All right, we got 7 spirits coming in with love, peace, and blessings. I'd like to say that what's up to you, brother. And I guess in a sense for those who celebrate, happy holidays to you. And I got one more I got to get out the way because this brother here, this brother always come through. He does what some of y'all should be doing if you really appreciate what I go out and do. But we're going to give him a shout out on his right quick. A special thanks to Mr. Spencer 0620 again for the Cash App. This brother has been persistent. This brother has done more than the average, and he seems to appreciate what WeUpReport do over here. I'm not trying to make no shame of nobody. You know, you hit that like button and all that other good stuff. But that brother goes sometimes and he helps for Mr. Bogan. I can't do a show when we give our shouts and thanks and praises out to that brother right there. So again, let's go ahead and get back into this. So let's go and look at what they did. So they had this summit, right? Let me show you on the screen there, right? So as you see on your screen there, you see that as talks about Biden tells African leaders, United States is all in on the continent. Let me say that one more again. Biden tells African leaders, United States is all in on the continent. Now again, we talking about that original sin, right? Here's somebody trying to make an original deal or a new original deal. And if it don't have us in it, then I have to question, is my family really supporting me? Is my family really thinking about me? Or am I just some pawn in this game that only when you in trouble, as we go later on this show, is the only time you've seen another. So, wait, Mr. Butterfly, are you divisive? You're being divisive. I don't like the fact that you, wait a minute, hold on. I ain't saying about divisive. You know, let them people talk and say you're a victim. You can't be a victim if somebody ain't doing nothing to you. I can't be divisive if what I'm saying is fact and truth. May not be popular to say, but that don't necessarily mean that it's not right and exact because I said it. You know, a lot of the people out here don't listen. So what was they talking about, Mr. William? I see that you showed that up there. Well, accordingly, they were talking about how they had this, Joe Biden had held a African leaders, they gathered together up in Washington, D.C., and it was an all-in, as you see, an all-in on Africa's future. They all in on it. You know, you ever watch poker? And when a mug is like, my hands, I'm pulling off for the win, right? So if a mug is willing to put all his in, you are assuming that he got the best hand. He going on, this is it. He can't raise no higher. He can't go no more. This is it. So they already decided to put all their chips in on the continent because a lot of people are, again, saying that the continent is the future. So it would only be wise if you had that kind of, you know, power of economics to invest into the land that they call as a nation. But there's some unfinished business that's been here in this land. And if you say we fam, then that means that when they talk about that, then where is your aspect on the negotiation one so we can hear that fam take it up for us, right? That's what we want. So anyway, this all in on Africa future, they were laying out billions of promised government funding. Then promises, you know they can keep, right? They don't keep no promises. Ask us. We know about all the failed promises that's been told, but they laying out billions of promises, they said, according to in this meeting that they had, I guess you want to say summit that they had, right? And then they said there was private investments that was going to be participating in it. They're all pledging in to get into the growing continent about its health and its infrastructure and the business and technology, right? And so they said, we're committed, They're committed, meaning this country, in supporting every aspect of Africa's growth, right? Really? Wait a minute. Now, it's like, okay, for those who come from the situation, those of us who might have came from single mamas, you know, it's like somebody dating your mama. They're all in on your mama. But you, it's like a consolation prize. You kind of like the side piece. You like the part I had to kind of be there, but I don't really want to mess with you. That's kind of how like it is with us. We kind of like, well, let's before I go, I'm gonna detour a little bit. You remember back? Who remember this back in the day? Who remember back in the day? You remember this back in the day? It was called Our Game, right? Our Game. You know, the Little Rascals. Some of y'all might see that. Some of this might be way before your time. Maybe some of you might see it on the replay. But my thing is this. You know, when you look at the world powers, don't it look like Our Game? No, it's like Our Game. It's like all them, and then they got the one token in there, right? We ain't here to belittle nobody. We just gonna tell it like a TI is. So we got the token in the middle in there, right? And so the token being there is who? We ain't got to say no names, right? Everybody else is who they is, right? So, you know, with Our Game, you know, those who watched it was about adventures and, you know, they doing things and, you know, you could see yourself in it sometimes, right? But it's the image that they were displaying in there in this Our Game because it's this one particular aspect as you see on your screen. Everybody, it's like the old thing, I think it was back in the day, one of these things is doing his own thing. Which one is different? Well, that one that is different is kind of like you say, looking at the nations around the world. And that one there seems to be in their game. They're actually trying to recruit you in the game now. They need you now. So you, the oddball that has always been out, now they need you. So, but when we look at this, that one is our mama, which we, as being a child of our mama, we look like our mama. We have the essence and some of the characteristics like our mama. So the same way prior before he was just part of the game, it was just the tokenism of it, right? And so that means everything that was associated, looked like, dressed like, characters like, you got the same thing that mama got. And so they would do things and make you look like this. You know what I'm saying? Remember that? You know what I'm saying? You have him and they say, what in the world? Is that a man or a girl? Let me say that one more again. What in the world? Is that a man or a girl? Farina. His name was Farina, right? You know, you got to get that check, get it the way you got to get it. So that's what he did. He had to do what he had to do, right? But that was what it is, an androgynous type of individual. You don't even know a man or girl, but this was what the images of what we had to look at when we were growing up, right? These are the images and the things that had an effect. So when we talk about the grand scale of the geopolitical outlook of this world and how they play, like the same way you see the image of our game, who you see, who's the oddball out. But now you need that one, right? You can't even put Haiti in there. Haiti ain't even got no seat, and yet it's on by itself, but it got no seat there. So you got a seat, right? So that means the rest of us, we got to be sitting here like this because they playing mama. They got us looking like this, right? That's how they got us, right? They got us looking just like that. Ain't that something? We growing up with them images. We had to live like this, right? And so we've been under this box that we've been trying to keep ourselves sane with and trying to tell ourselves that we got a new day coming in. And then, you know, like you say, a little child in the window looking at the window. When they gonna come get me? When they gonna come get me? Looking by every car. That ain't right? So you looking like that. When they gonna come get you? Now you got them where you need them. They have a summit. But now they still kind of looking at you in a different way. They're looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm negotiating with you. But in my mind, I see two of you right there. I see really you like that mug to the right of you. You ain't really the mug I'm dealing with. You like the cat to the right. You get what I'm saying? You're the one on the right who I'm really dealing with. That's the way I kind of look at you. No matter where we go around the world, when we talk about this our game, that's how we always been treated and looked upon, right? I know some of y'all not gonna like that, but it is what it is. So I seen this because I'm gonna come back to that summit, but we had to go here first to get to where we're going. And while y'all sitting up in here before I go to the next part here, I think that Sheila, I ain't see you subscribe, girl, so you're gonna have to take it for what it is. Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself on there and subscribe to get on up to WeUpReport so you can stay up because we're going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that put all notifications. You know how YouTube get down.
You know I need some money, gotta get the money, cause I need some cash. Hey, come on, gotta get it. You know I need the money, gotta get the money, cause I need some cash. Hey, come on, gotta get it.
All right, so we are back, right? Okay, so what did you just see there, right? I seen that about some days ago. You know, I don't come on every day like I should come on, but when I do go on, we're going to do a recap of things that I had seen. Maybe you did see it, didn't see it. So my thing was, all right, as I was saying about our game, right? See, like sometimes when we get ourselves in these positions that we, again, to have some kind of communication and time, something in us, something takes over us, some kind of spirit get up in us that somehow we don't like these people ain't normal no more. They ain't human no more, right? Okay, it is the King of England. I give you that. But I did not understand it, and I'm wondering is there more footage to this video because there was a brother in there, right? There was a brother in there, right? And I seen him there pulling out his came up under his, I guess under his shirt in his pocket. But can you imagine being there, seeing that, and then that was what it was, and then right? She go down on her knees, right? She went down on her knees. Can you imagine that? Can you really imagine that she did that? Now, again, I'm not doing this to make any fun of the sister or nothing like that. Again, I do my shows based on there's lessons for all of us to learn, right? There's lessons to learn here. And can you imagine that he sat there and allowed this woman to do that and said, no, unless this is part of the protocols of programming that they've already been mesmerizing our people with, that when we get around these folks, that you understand that it is what it is. And so here's a grown woman down on her knees doing what she do, and just got up there and just got the biggest cheese. Finally, I don't know her background. I don't know if she's from there, if she might be a migrant from there, and understand the mystique and the mystery and that history that goes along with that individual that right there. But again, that's the different programming all of us have. That to be in awe inspired to see is almost like she's seen Jesus, right? You almost see Jesus there, to the fact that she just went on her knees, or the most high. I ain't even gonna say that because I think even Yahshua would have told you, don't do that. Only he that deserves that is what you should get on your knees. Not that cat, not him, not them, but you did that, right? Now again, I'm not here to knock that sister, right? And then it was, this, right? Got that on you, right? Got little lean in, but you down on your knees. And he going, I mean, man, is he tickle him pink Elmo? Is he tickle pink? He probably tickled pink than a mug up under there, right? Just extended. You got him off in a bust up under there. Did you, Can you imagine that? I mean, what kind of power? I mean, I guess that would have been like, the way we have seen, unless you was there at them concerts, but Michael Jackson was having women falling out and fainting and all that. I have never thought that I could see something of that on the other persuasion. But I guess they have had something that is similar, but to have that effect normally comes on that melanin side of the game. But in this case, this one here went down. I don't know if this is an employee, this is part of the protocol. When he come in, get out on your knees. I don't know what that was, but it was what it was, right? And so you see that there, she leaning, get it in. And look at that look, huh? Look at that look, huh? Look at that capture, that look, got that glow in his hair and that stare in her eyes. It's like, oh my, she is seeing the one. She's seeing the one when she's seeing it, huh? All inspired. Now, a lot of people seen this and they things about it and so forth, but then everybody's own way. Have you felt like that about some of the things that some of the people have done to us, or that is something that they've been trying to get on us, and they have been doing, especially those of us who are lineage and BADOS, Black American Descendant of Slaves. Some people say Foundation Black Americans, some say American Descendant of Slaves, some say Indigenous and Caucasian and Moors. You understand? We have all kinds of little titles, but all under the umbrella, as I say, the Black Americans, historically here in this country we call the United States, right? They always been trying to get that to us, and there's some of us who feel like that and may don't get down on their damn knees, but they do things in that same manner that has an effect on their own people, don't they? Mm-hmm. And so can you imagine that, right? And then he leans in and get it. Look at her face. Oh, she's, Back in the days on them little TVs, you get a kiss on the cheek, and the girl will hold her damn cheek like that. But that was TV version, you know what I'm saying? That was on TV. Marsha get kissed on the face and hold her. I'm never gonna wash my cheek again. That's how she looking. You know, if all them wasn't around, no telling what he might have tried to pull. You get what I'm saying? But that, I mean, nothing should be that awe-inspiring unless it is the Most High. You get what I'm saying? But the programming that is happening to many of us and all of us, that they can get in our presence, and that will be happening, even though you're supposed to be on equal footing. You human, they mankind, or mankind, or they human, whatever it might be, but they're going to be equal. The only thing different is titles. And so here there's this sister being in there like that, right? He leaned away. Like I said, he went and told somebody who was hungry, oh my God, you believe this? I'm never going to forget this day. I'm never going to forget this day. And she, as he pulled away, she leaned with it. I mean, she was swooned. She was swooning with him. You get what I'm saying? Swooned in, right? I mean, my God, man. You understand? And then she walked away, like, she hand like, you know, Jesus, there, you can leave now, thou my daughter. Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure this made his day. If this wasn't the top he ever had, this made his day. Because a lot of us looked at this and some people laughed at it. Some people, we were appalled. Oh my God, where you come from? Who teaching you that? Well, it's the same thing going back to our game. It's like going back to our game. When you could be the only one amongst people and somehow immerse yourself amongst that and don't even recognize you're the odd man out. How many of sometimes when you're growing up, you're going someplace and you see that one person among all of them, and they're just as comfortable as they can be. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether not to have friends and liking people. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's something about that. There's a power that they put on our people that some of them, you know, just elated and just overwhelmed just to be in their presence and do whatever it takes to be with them. So I'm like, okay, well, the way I really looked at this, I'm gonna show you what I looked at that situation. Let me show you what I seen in this situation. Check this out.
It's the power. Holy water. It's the power of Christ that compels you. The power of Christ. The power of Christ compels you. 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 The power of Christ compels you.
Right? He was swooned in, like the power of Christ had her captivated. Couldn't take it no more. He's the one, right? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy though, right? It is what it is. Again, I'm not here to belittle that sister, but I just must look at the fact that, you know, I understand when you see somebody you might have idolized or learned about, read their biographies, and then you meet them in person, it's different than somebody from afar. But the image is kind of the same way when you looked at those images that they showed of us when we was in our game, right? Them images. It's the image that portrayed by us that whether it be something that we could say stereotypes, whether these are some kind of image or brainwashing, sometimes the subliminal message, they say tropes in these days, the brainwashing. Matter of fact, the trauma bonding gets us in the positions where when we are in these situations amongst people, we let sometimes they get away with so much to the fact that that's why you see a lot of that caring. And I seen one the other day where a brother was at a football game and the husband was, all swept up. He got a stadium full of, and his wife all up in his face and the brother trying to maintain, but again, if it's one of us, one-on-one with us, you ain't going to take all that. You ain't going to take too much of that. But then we have something, that's what I said, there's something built in the dynamics from times we've been up under them that create that. And so I seen that and I thought it was sad, but then we need to look at that because Nobody should be in that all spine to you to make you get on your damn knees as a grown person, unless they got that goddamn it on them and got your head and come out your wallet, out your purse. You understand? Other than that, there's only that for the Most High. Anything other than that, no. So anyway, we're gonna get back to that summit, but I want to go ahead and get back to the summit. Some of these things I'm gonna talk about. But then I seen this here, and I want to connect something to the fact that the reason why I'm going here, I talked about it in the video before, but because of this situation, allowed me to go back on this. So check this out. Be right back.
Tributes are pouring in for renowned journalist Grant Wahl. The 48-year-old who helped to put American soccer on the map died suddenly while covering the World Cup in Qatar. Wahl appeared to be in overall good health, but was suffering from bronchitis. ABC's Lama Hassan has the latest from London.
Tonight, an outpouring of respect and admiration for influential American soccer journalist Grant Wahl, who died suddenly while covering the World Cup on Friday, just days after his 48th birthday.
He cared about people. He was empathetic, and where he saw that there was something wrong, Grant would write about it.
U.S. men's national team captain Tyler Adams expressing his deepest sympathy, tweeting, "As players, we have a tremendous amount of respect for the work of journalists, and Grant was a giant voice in soccer that has tragically fallen silent." LeBron James, whom Wahl famously profiled for Sports Illustrated while James was in high school, paying tribute.
It's a tragic loss. It's unfortunate to lose someone as great as he was.
Wahl collapsed during the final minutes of the quarterfinal match between the Netherlands and Argentina. Witnesses say he fell to the ground and was administered CPR by emergency personnel for about 20 minutes before being taken to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. In his final days, the sports writer telling his listeners he had bronchitis.
So many journalists have got a crazy cough that sounds like a death rattle sometimes.
Adding he tested negative for COVID and had received some medicine for treatment. Wahl had long been an outspoken voice in soccer journalism, recently reporting on the conditions migrant workers face living in Qatar.
The history is that they're not paid well, they're not treated well. A lot of people have died.
And just 3 weeks ago, while wearing this rainbow T-shirt to a World Cup game in Qatar, where same-sex relations are illegal, saying security initially refused to let him into the stadium. Lindsay, the U.S. State Department has said it is in touch with Qatari officials to have Wahl's family wishes fulfilled. No word yet on when Wahl's body will be returned to the family. Lindsay.
Lama, thank you.
So that was that Grant Wahl, right? That was that Grant Wahl, right? He was a journalist, and said it was a renowned journalist. And some people over the history here he has touched, wrote about, right? Went over to Qatar. Qatar was having the World Cup, for those who didn't know. And he advocated, spoke about some things sometimes, being in other countries to talk about their position about how they run their country that may be against what they do as a nation. And he talked about how that, the people, the workers there were being unpaid. And then he did this. He wore this, right? He wore that shirt you see there, right? That shirt, right? That rainbow shirt, right? In Qatar, an Islamic nation, right? Okay, so again, not here to talk more about him dying. We're talking about that shirt. And how, again, as I said earlier, about being in our game and being that, subliminal tokenism and being that, we not 100%, we at least got one of you in there, right? And so when they sow that subliminal message on people, a lot of times you don't see the beginning of where it began. So when you go there in a nation that says that they believe in what marriage is and the definition of man and woman and so forth. Okay, then you want to infringe upon that. Okay. So my thing was, I remember that this being in Qatar, I can take it back to an origin where I seen them bringing this in. You don't believe me? Well, did any of y'all see, what was that? I think it was that was it. Yeah, right? It was the World Athletic Championship, Oregon 2022. That was this year. That was just during the summer, right? Or maybe right before the fall, right? Remember the World Athletic Championship, right? In Oregon. Remember that? Remember they had that the race there with the Jamaicans, right? Remember when the Jamaicans won, I would say like the three-peat, right? Like the Triple Crown. Remember when they went in there and they won all three of them? They won the first, second, and the third in the 100 women's, when they had that whole medal ceremony. Remember that? Yeah, I think some of y'all, I think you remember I had did this, but remember they took that video down, right? I'll come back and put it in once again. So remember there, right? They had a ceremony. Now again, they had just won, a world record was broken, and then the fact that all three in the same nation won first, second, and third in itself was a feat. It was a special moment. Okay. And as you see on your screen there, this was the ceremony that was being presented. Ironically, like in our game, look at in the hand of the sister in her hand. Do you see that in her hand? She got like a little plate or a little container, and there's some things in there. Well, let me show you what's up in there, right? I see that little circle I got around there, right? So they got some dials or something is up in there, right? There's something in her hand that you see they're about to do part of the ceremony of this event, of this, let's say, moment of time that will live in infamy until it get broken. So first person that came up to get that was, you see on your screen there, right? She got the bronze. They gave her, you see in her left hand, right? Holding in her right hand her medal, and in her left hand she is holding something up. But at the time when you're sitting there watching when this is taking place, in your mind, you just see a dial. May not even come to your awareness. Maybe some kid in there, oh, mommy, what's that? You know what I'm saying? But you don't know. You look in your damn self. Well, what is that, right? So then you see the next one came up there. There was Sharika, right? And you see the presenter, right? The handler, making sure, she's getting her hair ready and everything. She about to present it to her. She holding it to her, present it to her. Now, somehow this became part of the procession, okay? And then you see that Sharika Jackson gets it. She holding it. She holding it in her hand. She ain't even holding the medal. She holding that up, right? She holding that up. Then I caught her when she looked at it. She's like, what is this? What is that? What is that they gave me? What does this got to do with what we're doing? But somehow this been interjected in there. And you got to remember at this moment, because of the hype of Jamaica and let's say people was believing that they were going to do what they did. So there was a lot of the countrymen, and there was a lot of people who are into athletics and watch track and field, and they were watching. So it was a national audience, right? And here was a moment. Here's Sharika looking like, oh, wait, what the blood clot is that, man? Huh? So anyway, and then you got Shelly Ann, right? And you see she got that finger pointing at that part on that heart that she giving it to her. She get it. It's part of the procession. You ain't thinking about nothing. You ain't understanding that somebody's subjecting something to you. You don't know that somebody giving you something and then they're using you, just like that sister that was at the beginning didn't realize that what she holding in her hand, right? She just knows she just holding that. She don't know what she about to present. Mr. Bro, man, what is you talking about, man? What is you talking about? Just hold on. Just easy, man. Just easy. Okay? So Shelly's in there, she got a problem, got to look, down in her hand, right? So then they take the one with all three of them. And Sharika's still on that dial, like, man, what is this? What the blood clot is this, man? Right? So nobody knew, but they got it off, right? In this format, in this setting, with many views of people being from ages from as little as one could be conscious enough to see on TV and like what they see to the elderly, right? So what was that? What was that? So according to him, it said the legend of Bigfoot announced as official mascot of the World Athletic Championship of Oregon 2022. Huh? But the Bigfoot was the national, it's going to be the mascot, right? And, ain't nothing wrong. In sports, mascots are part of the game. They have their own aspect to the game. They're like, okay, in basketball, you say the crowd is the sixth man, but the mascot is really the sixth man, and the crowd is the seventh man, right? Or let's say 5A is the team, and 5B is the mascot, and then 6 is the fan. We can say it that way. We'll get a little bit more of that, right? And in the NBA and even in collegiate, they have it too. But this one was specific for this one because they had just introduced it so that it would be right on time for this one right here. Matter of fact, it was such an event that something had happened. It had happened to the fact that they were talking about the mystery of the Oregon 2022 mascot Bigfoot missing head solved by police. Somebody stole the head of the mascot after the event. It made national, well, I ain't gonna say national, but it made news to the fact that it was an event and they had this whole thing to come to find out. And the way that it sounded to me was about, well, it was an inside job and it was like more to get publicity, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to get publicity about this, right? So I was like, okay, all right. So again, this mascot, Bigfoot, right? There's nothing wrong with that. What are you talking about, Mr. Blaine? I mean, what's the difference between the gorilla and Phoenix? What's the difference between Benny the Bull and Chicago? Well, let's see. Because, see, again, you have to have one of those Ray-Bans so that you can see the difference between who's who and who is not, right? But to go a little bit, to give you a little bit more evidence on what I'm talking about, they had another event on that same one. Something. Now, on that event that day, they had the women's 4-meter hurdle, where you see Delilah Muhammad, and you seen that the other one was McLaughlin, right? Sydney McLaughlin, I think her name is, right? And so this was the big match between these two. As you see on your screen, that was the history that them two had been going, being, well, I guess you say the leader. You see Delilah Muhammad had been earlier from 19, and then you see Sydney McLaughlin started coming around by 21, and she'd been holding that position. So now it was that moment where they both met up again, and it was the do or die. It was okay. She done had 3 in a row. 4, that means Delilah's done. But she was under the weather. She was coming back from being hurt and so forth. But it was a big thing about it. So you know how when you watch the sports and they show that built up, right? Them two, there's them two. All right, Delilah versus Sydney. This is gonna be that big matchup, right? And then, to get that moment right before they get into that close up, right there. You know what I'm saying? That moment before it's like any of those who play sports, all of us who don't play sports, that moment right there before the jump ball, before that whistle, before go, all that stuff, right? Firing of the fist, whatever it may be, sport it is, right? It's that moment. It could be a butterfly, right? Even for those who are seasoned, see that little butterfly, right? It's that moment where you all focus in. It's that moment right there, right? So the same thing went over to Delilah Muhammad. She got, so hey, what's up, y'all? This is on. We're gonna do what we're gonna do, right? So they go ahead and they race. And then Sydney McLaughlin wins. But check out what happens at the end. Look how they pull that off. Look, boom. Sydney wins, right? And all come out, Mr. Mascot came on out. Mr. Mascot came right on out. Slapping 5 with it, right? In her moment, she is breaking the world's record. Right there on the moment. Now, remember the other one was with the 100. But the Jamaicans won all 3. That was their moment. But they interjected that right in there. They put the one in their hand. But on this one, they put the big mascot right there, right? And then you want to see what the sign says there. World records are my favorite food. World records is my favorite food. This is the time I'm shining on your shit. When you doing your thing, here I am. I'm shining in your moment, huh? So back in the day, it'd be cop blocking, right? You ain't got to make no speech. What's all this talking about? You don't need to make no speech. So anyway, That's what they're doing. But somebody's interjecting because why? This is history. This is a moment in time that's going to stand for infamy until it be broken. And at the same minute, we're right there. We're right there in there. Mr. Ballman, what are you talking about? Well, let me show you something. Look at the marquee of what this was about when they're showing the logo. Huh? Feel the glory. Who is that hurdling? You know who that is? That's Muhammad. Dalai Muhammad. Hurdling. And then you see these imageries right there, right? You see the kind of red and the kind of goldish green and blue and purple, right? And all of them are significant to something. Then they told you the background, what it did to break and make this, right? So then they show you that they said, well, we took the stadium outer part and then we took the logo of the World Athlete and we combined them together, and that's how we end up coming up with the so-called World Athletic Championship of Oregon. That's how they end up coming up with it. That's how they got that, right? As I showed you in the beginning there, right? Remember that? Okay, now what does that got to do with that what you say, Grant Wall? What does that got to do with him? Well, by coincidence, did you not know that after they had that event, the 2002 World Cup Qatar allowed LGBT display rainbow flag in the stadium? Did you know that? They introduced it back then in the 2002 in that the championship, but you didn't see it in that way. See? Do you see the similarities? Do you see it? 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 Huh? Am I making that up, or is that just by coincidence? Is that coincidence? That's a coincidence, ain't it? Coincidence, right? 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 Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I see that. Okay. All right. All right. But what I got to do with it? But remember, he went over there and did that, right? He was talking about that, right? Remember, he went over there with that. Now, Qatar don't play that. You heard even in the thing, but they told you back there. They said that this was going to be acceptable. Did you see on there? You see, says Qatar to allow LGBTQ display rainbow flag in stadium. Okay, they're gonna let the flag get in there, and you come in with a T-shirt. You get what I'm saying? So you go to other places and playing that game and thinking that everything like at home is the same way everywhere else. And it was kind of funny in that report. They said that he didn't have any COVID, but they gave him. They gave him medication and stuff like that for it. Huh? Well, anyway, again, I'm not here about that. I'm just saying that what he displayed was something they don't tolerate in that land. Now, that doesn't mean that those who just fall up under, again, your preference and your choice of what you do in your bedroom and your relationship is your business. But what I'm saying is, you know, in real estate, they say infringing, right? You infringing on my property. And when you infringe on my property, I have the right to defend that. And so I'm just saying coincidence that you went there and then you didn't get back. And then they showed you with that there. Maybe that got something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? It's not everybody is for everybody's lifestyle. You understand? Some things are just the way it is. That doesn't mean that it has to be, everything has to be out in the open the way it has to be, but that was just ironic that it was. And let me show you one other thing on top of that. What's this? The APA ruling on homosexuality is going on. You see this? Do you see that date down there? December what of 1973. You know they on their 50, what they call that, the golden anniversary? The golden anniversary of the decision of that group to take out of the DSM and say what it has said about them. And now this is the 50-year anniversary that you probably didn't know that they even try to put it, they, you know what I'm saying? They spread it broad and you get what I'm saying? Subliminally just throwing it up in there. You ain't catching it. 50 years in the making. So when they went and changed the diagnosis of it to fit for what they have and what they're doing. Again, it's not me to say whether you're sick or not. That's what they said, and then they changed it, right? So anyway, I'm just here to show you that. I'm not here right now. Again, I ain't here to make, I'm just here to, again, we up report. That's what we do. We up. we keep it up. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a quick little break and be right back.
You know I need some money, gotta get the money, cause I need some cash in hand. Come on, gotta get it. You know I need the money, gotta get the money, cause I need some cash in hand. Come on, gotta get it.
So we're gonna go back to this now, right? We're gonna go back to this, right? Because that's what this was the beginning. We're gonna go back to that. Now to get that out the way, to get back to where we're going, right? So now again, they were talking about laying out billions of dollars, promised government funding, private investment, right? It was promising Africa they all in. They're gonna help the continent to get up on this health, the infrastructure, business, and technology. Now again, I was always told that you take care of your house. I think a scripture says something about don't look at the thorn in my eye, but not looking at the thistle in your own eye. First learn how to extract the thistle from your eye, and then teach me or help me to get the thorn out of my eye. What do you mean by that, Mr. Billman? Well, take care of home first before you worry about taking care about somebody else's shit. Right? Take care of your shit first. You got a lot of shit on your plate to be worrying about all in. You're talking about harmony. Otherwise, we just, what is this really about? So anyway, being all in and saying that this so-called, this big conference that they had that was for 3 days called the African Leaders Summit, right? And let me go on a little bit more on that because I didn't get into that, right? So they said that the U.S. is pitching and as to be a reliable partner so that they can promote democratic elections, push critical health and energy growth, right? Democracy. Now, democracy probably works, but when you have things and people who got their own personal agendas and other groups, it sounds good, right? Sounds good, but maybe in application, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work because they say one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. And so when you look at a place that's trying to grow and develop and become as they aspire to be on the world stage, democratic elections sound right. Let the people, so forth, vote and let it be what's supposed to according to the people's liking and so forth. All that sounds great, but when we talk about who's going to teach you that, who's the one who's going to help you to develop that, and what may be the agenda that they may have, right? So you have to be kind of leery of that, right? And then they said that they were going to give $55 billion in committed investment. Again, no money on the wood, so the bet can't be good. Let me say that again. I'm hearing money on the wood like the bet is good, but $55 billion, what they say in the word is committed. Committed don't mean your money is on the wood, right? I got you. I owe you. Put it on my credit, right? Right? And then talking about for the next 3 years. Now, isn't there 54 countries in the continent? So 55 billion is just basically say a billion for each country, right? That'd be about $1 billion each country, with promised money, right? Potential to get in the next 3 years. And said this is just the beginning, huh? If you come to borrow some money from me, if you borrow something from me, and I have to trust that whatever you ask me, you're gonna give it back, You got to propose to me better than that. You can't come with some, hey, yeah, I got you when I get my income tax check. You know what else? I get my income tax check. I got you. I got you. Nah. Everybody play that game. You can't give me with that. What, when you get paid? Don't you get paid Friday before that? Nah, when I get my income. No, you nigga, you bullshit. Anyway, right? So anyway, so that's what they saying. They committed, they saying investments. Now that didn't even come from them. That's come from other people. Now, again, the continent trying to grow and prosper and get itself right. Again, it ain't my business. It ain't my business on their business. It ain't my business. But I'm saying, since they claim us family and you make somebody over here proposing to you, then again, as I said, the child that's trying to date with my mama, then mama gonna make it right in the deal. If you're gonna be my man, then you gotta take care of Junior too, or my daughter too, whatever that might be, right? So then they also come up, well, okay, all right, how about this? Okay, that's 55 billion per committee. How about that? I give you 15 billion and from private trades. I've got some private motherfuckers and don't tell nobody. I'm gonna put that money, got 15. Okay, so 55 and 15 was about 70 million. Is that good? $70 billion. Is that good? Right? And then the wife said, I got 300 million from I got about 300 over here. Right? Now, is that all good business? Is it good business? If you look at it that way, is that good business? And some were speculating, some of the things that I had seen and watched, they said, well, a lot of this is probably based on the fact that when you look at the fact that they said the United States has fallen behind China investments, right? So there seems to be some kind of battle war going on as to who can propose the most. And let me show this chart they had up there. They had showed something like the trade with Africa in 2021. It's showing that $261 billion that China had already done committed by, say, the United States and gave $64 billion, right? So it's about almost less than 5 times more. China has more in there. So it's all really about who got the most influence on the continent, right? So there's a influential war going on towards the continent because it ain't just these two. There's other players in the game too. And the thing is, we have to look at it saying, okay, now wait a minute. According to the story that they tell us about the transatlantic slave trade and the diaspora, and we've been the children over here according to that game or that story, and many of us don't believe all in that, right? But that's the game they playing. And so you have children based on that original deal that was made by the continent between the same U2s. And so where's in this deal going to deal with what your original sin was? Or charge it to the game, right? Because there's increasingly, they say, competition and major powers going on. But we not looked upon as that. So I don't wonder what kind of family relationship is this between us. Again, I know some people not gonna like this, and man, you can just divisive talk, man. We family, we Africans. That's what they say. I hear you, but I ain't hearing them, right? But stay tuned. I got you covered. So they were saying how this whole meeting and the way that it was set up was really not the way that the protocols of how things work. They say normally everything is set upon an agenda about what we coming to the table with, right? It's in reverse though. It's like they offering to you and saying this is what you gonna take. So what kind of meeting was it, right? And so a lot of people seen this. I see a lot of people in the corner really didn't touch it. Ain't nobody gonna really elaborate on it. It's not really our business like that, right? It's not our business like that. So again, they talk about how they want to modernize technology. Modernizing technology on the continent and the conditions economically, the way that we see it. And how long will it be before some of the situations that happen here in the United States, like we see in California and other places, as they start to, build up. Matter of fact, the way with this, what they call this the Bumble cycle. I want you to say the Bumble Clyde storm, right? The Bumble Clyde, but they call it the Bumble cyclone, right? Ain't nobody on no damn streets out there, right? We don't know what's going on out there. The people who have to be out in the streets right now. based on where it's been cold like it is. Anybody y'all going out there, give a plate to somebody, help somebody out, bring some hot coffee or something? You ain't gonna sit about there. Can't nobody live out there tonight, last night, the night before, none of that, right? So the way that they said that cyclone, it said that the drop of the temperature was so drastic, is what prevented that. And so in my mind, being around as I've been around and read some of the things I read, I wonder who playing with the weather like that. But that's just me speaking, right? That's just me speaking, right? But anyway, back to the story here. So they said they want to, so if you're modernizing the technology on the continent, there's going to be people who going to get put out of business or don't have no business when that happens. You ain't got no money. And when technology comes or things that you need to buy, how you gonna get it? It's kind of like now you have a generation of people or two who were from the industrial part of the United States when the jobs was factories, warehouse, and then the transition from late 80s going into the 90s, you started getting into technology. Now all those people who prior to them who are just when the COVID happened, they talked about what they call them workers, essential workers, right? The ones that could catch it, like the ones that had to be in contact with people, right? And that's really the crux of where all this so-called, I guess, the foundation of this country, where everything is working, and it's coming from there. So as this get more technical, what happens to that group? So what you think if it's gonna happen here? What's gonna happen when it go up to the continent? It's gonna be the same damn thing, right or wrong, right? So again, some of the deals that the things some people proposing might be like somebody setting a time bomb. Like it looked good here, but then as time go on, later on, it might explode on you. It may be a Trojan, but that's just me talking, right? So they talk about drinking water to the community. They want to give them clean drinking water, funding healthcare, right? Okay, you say all these things, man, but you have to be mindful because this is our game. You have just been the token because right now, when you look at it, when you look at this, not too long ago, they were talking about how they were talking about the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, right? Right, that started back in 2015. 8 years from now. And so right now, the one that they've chosen that's going to really develop as for the future, you seeing it. You seeing them talking to it right now. They tell you, right? And then some of the stuff that they talked about in that 2030, right? They talk about having no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, life below water. I guess that's the fish life, right? Life on land, justice and strong institution, peace, justice, and strong institution, partnerships for the goals, affordable, clean energy. They talk about all kinds of sustainable communities, right? All that sounds good, but who going to be the beneficiaries of it? Do we really believe that? And again, so if you're going to negotiate, then don't you need to negotiate in the front part? Don't wait till after you get in there and then find out that you've been fooled and then be like, damn, they got us. No, you got to be a little bit better than that. But we understand, right? Just like they showed here. I seen this when talking about Nigeria and Rwanda, first African nation signed the Artemis Accord, right? Going to space. Wait a minute, you going to space? What you going to space for? See, setting you up to get you all up in there. Selling you that. You thinking you part of it. You part of our game. But we're just going to use you till we can do what we can do, right? Matter of fact, so there's some people walking up out of here. They got to talk with nobody in here. It made no difference. Thing is, I showed this before. So those who might think, oh, Mr. Blow Your Mind, you're pessimistic. You don't believe, but good-hearted. Okay. You don't got to believe my words. I'm going to let you let this individual, this is what he do, this is what he teach. Listen to this, be right back.
Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is just give you some charts and a couple of tables just to paint a little bit of a picture that you already know. Okay, so what this presentation is fundamentally designed to say is this. Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight. Okay, so this is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. At universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay, and to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know, so this is what we do in academic institutions, and I want to show that as well. We just start. This is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. Let me start with this. You can't really see it so easily, but if those of you who are interested, you want the PowerPoint, I'm sure we can make it available to you. But the thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay, and the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay, and you compare it with all other income groups, and what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay, this is the very heart of what makes sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay, here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic, with all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 1975, 0.95%, going down to 0.1. To 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufactures. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that. It's obvious in certain ways, but it's less obvious in other ways. Now, we have actually seen periods of rapid growth in sub-Saharan Africa, misleading people, saying, oh, you know, we're now doing much better. And this has happened recently. Recently, I've had students come and tell me, we've done much better now. And you can see growth rates rose quite sharply in recent times. Now are starting to go again down. But if you look historically, the same thing happened earlier. Why? Because in these two periods, we had East Asian rapid industrialization processes. So in the earlier period, we had Japan and Korea and Taiwan. Okay, rapid growth, sucking in raw materials from Africa, driving up the prices, and then sub-Saharan African countries grew. Exporting raw materials, they grew. But after those countries finished industrialization, then sub-Saharan African growth rate again fell. Okay, but along comes China. Next wave. Okay, again, sub-Saharan African growth rises, but now China is going down. As many of you now know from the press, China is going down. But sub-Saharan Africa is going down even faster. And we're going to go back to where we were again, with very low prices of raw materials, very low growth rates, and again, the sorts of poverty that we saw once before. Because, bottom line, sub-Saharan Africa is condemned to this role, just the supplier of raw materials, not a manufacturer.
All right, so you heard what he said, right? And what more do I need to say behind that? He done told you what the game is. So when they had this summit, what can only be the final outcome? Now, I know a lot of people, they got their high hope on the fantasy about how they view things, but This is a school. This is an institution, and this is what they do and what they teach. He told you what the game is. You can take it or leave it alone. Right? So who are you to believe? Oh, don't believe nothing that he's saying, and yet you see what done happened. He done told you that there's a actually designed to do that. And it's just okay. But like I said, it's not my business. Because why? I'm a descendant of those of the original deal. That now they talking about they want to renege on the original sin. So they tell us, right? After you hear something like that, now again, I come from the people over here, right? These are the people I come from, right? If you see on your screen there, look in 1860, 4,441,830. That's my ancestors come out of there. My people been around from then going back, right? Some people come, they got, y'all come at different periods of time, but a lot of those people that are like myself, they come from people from there. Now again, there's two stories here. There's that which we always been here, and then there's this story that somebody keep telling us that they brought us on boats, came over here through a transatlantic. But I asked you the question, the numbers that you see on your screen there, if a transatlantic slave trade was happening, they talk about 100 million or whatever, how many millions it was. And then they say, well, 3 to 4 to 5% of that number came here. Then how do you say in 1860, 4,441,830? Really? Think about that, right? And then when you talk about trails of tears, and you talk about people in the southeastern part of the South, in the same places that the places that a lot of our ancestors come from, they said these people they call Indians, right? And there were so many tribes, but you only took 5. And at that 5 legitimized the whole game, and everybody else, right, had to be, well, they either were slaves, whatever that means, because really we think about a captives of war or prisoners of war. What happens to the ones they don't kill? They become enslaved. They become the property of the people, become chattel of them. So in that whole language tells you something that, man, you know what I'm saying? And so I have to ask yourself, who's selling what game? We understand that the game that y'all in, y'all locked in. You heard what homie said in the school. He said, this is their role. This is the only role that we as Westerns will allow them to do. All this talking about we finna be this and that, and we finna be what? Okay, but you heard what he said. So that tells you that if he is a professor in a school teaching this, he's part of the curriculum that they teaching, which comes from higher up, trickles down, which means that's from somebody above. So he must not be telling something he ain't just speaking just to be speaking. He telling you what it is. But people don't want to believe that, right? But then again, here we is over here. But I want you to hear what somebody said to us based on that.
Absolutely. The brain drain that started over 400 years ago, when the best and the brightest and the fittest were taken out of Africa forcibly, and that is when the brain drain started. I want to make sure that is very clear. And when we talk about African diaspora, we're talking about all people of African descent living outside of Africa. Let's be very clear. African Americans, they are Africans who were forcibly taken out of Africa, plus the continued brain drain, those who are later immigrants who left Africa running away from famine, from wars, in search of greener pastures. The end result is, as we speak, Africa has a serious deficit of expertise. Right. However, the good news for Africa is that we have a very young, intelligent, vibrant population that need opportunities. So when we can marry the age group of young, intelligent Africans with the expertise coming from the diaspora, we can see an Africa that can propel itself to take its rightful place on the world stage like it once was. So yes, the diaspora are an important component of Africa's development. Make no mistake about that. All the African leaders are fully aware of that. All the African leaders are in full support of coming up with programs to make it easier for the diaspora to move back. We want to look at diaspora who can come to Africa, not just focus on a country that you were born in, but if you are a person of African descent, Africa should matter to you. Africa should be your problem. You must own Africa's problems, understand it, and participate in the development of Africa. For when we have a stable Africa, it now also correlates with an African American who is anchored. It correlates with an Afro-Caribbean who is anchored. It correlates with an Afro-Latino who is anchored. Currently, descendants of the formerly enslaved, they are like a ship without an anchor. The wind blows that way, here they go. Until they are anchored by being accepted by Africa, until they are anchored by participating in the development of Africa. The Jews do it, the Chinese do it, the Indians do it, the Irish do it, African Americans together with the continental Africans. We must make sure that we work together to participate in the development of Africa, because the development and the building of the Africa we want, it is our responsibility first and foremost, and ours alone. Others are welcome to come join us. Others are welcome to help us. Others are welcome to engage us as equal partners, but we must own the building of the Africa that we want as a united front of the African diaspora.
All right, so you heard that, right? Yeah, the brain drain, they said, right? Again, there's some of us who subscribe to the transatlantic story, and there's others, again, have traced in their families, going back, finding out that our people have been here and planted here. And again, descendants don't necessarily mean, right? I think people play on the word of descendant and say that because you are descendant, necessarily makes you an African, of as if like if black people are the original people on the planet and we migrated. We don't all start going back into we all started from Africa. We all became other people once we left those places. So it's funny how people who talk about skin color, y'all on that, stuck on that color, right? You say color game, but then when you say African, and if you say the origin of man, human, or mankind is the origin of African, then who isn't African that is coming from this planet? Who isn't? You get what I'm saying? So when we play that game, aren't you opening the door to allow just like what we seeing? You can't tell them they not now. How you gonna tell them if you say the origin of all beings coming from that continent is now trying to make it about skin color? Then aren't you discriminating against them? So why doesn't just say, well, where everybody is, because maybe that's what it is. Now that you're in trouble, because again, the original sin, or let's say the original deal that was made, where how that story tell us that you gathered people up and brought them and sent them here. I'm not saying them today did it. I'm just saying with that story being told, that you thought that this person that you may deal with wasn't planning on coming back to get in further, to take over. You didn't think that was part of the plan? So the deal that had been made, now that you say brain trust, oh, those who they took was the best and the strongest of us. And then we have today the same thing happening. Well, why is everybody running from there? Because when we look at these trades and these deals that's made by these other nations, they're coming in, they're flooding up in there. Because why? They're getting smaller. And so they need stability. So you think if you the warehouse, we ain't coming where the warehouse is? And you heard what homie said, that was the professor. He said, yeah, just because you have the natural resources, you can never be a world power because you got to be able to manufacture. Now look at the deals that they making is to bring in these people so that they can be the manufacturers, which means what? They coming in controlling how your stuff is being made. Yeah, they may give you some jobs, but they're controlling, right? It's kind of a Trojan. It ain't my business, right? That ain't my business. But I'm just saying, okay, I hear your plea. I hear what you're saying. But again, do Black Americans have another history? Other outside of that, it may have never, again, we don't know how long ago it's been. I know everybody keeps subscribing to the transatlantic story. You keep subscribing to that. Ain't no proof need to be done, right? Matter of fact, I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to show you something that just recently came up why I didn't do the show yesterday. Something came up I want to put in today. But based on what she's saying, I hear what you're saying. 400 years ago, started that brain drain. Now again, ask yourself, any of you who know Africans of today, and ask them, in your family, is there any story about some people in your family being taken? Let me say that one more again. Ask anybody who you know as an African today. Do they have anybody, is there stories in your family of some people being taken? When you find them, bring them over here to my show. And let us sit over here and let's have a conversation with them. You get what I'm saying? We know the story that's been sold and told, but we don't know how true, because just because some people believe, some people want to be this, because again, you play the same game because of skin color, but we talking about in reality. Well, again, those of us who are tracing our family lineage and going back, we've been here longer than before that whole story about this whole thing of this transatlantic. We're seeing that, and some people don't want to believe that. They want to take that from us, right? We have to be, because y'all want us to be, because otherwise this is a big market for anybody that got troubles to come here. Nobody wants this to be the land of the people who it belongs to. You would rather say there's some other people. Now again, if black people's the original people on the damn planet, then how did these other people that you call these people, you said they came from the Bering Strait? Well, I did a show, showed you what the Bering Strait. There's no damn way you could get your ass across no damn Bering Strait. There's no way you could do that. But that's the story where everybody keeps selling you, and you keep taking that. And you got people programmed, believing and saying this stuff. And now you got somebody who in trouble. Hey, y'all got to come on back. We need you. Matter of fact, it sounds like a song. What song is that?
World is cold, my friends are few. Without you here, my joy seems cruel. When you left, you took part of me. What can I do?
The world is cold, my friends are few. Without you here, my joy seems cruel. Huh? Come back to me, baby, baby. Huh? It's you that I need. Now you need us. Then threw in the fact to say, hey, Jews did it. They did it. They did it. Hey, wait a minute. Wait. You know when you somebody who might hear me, who might have done it or heard of somebody, know the story. When somebody has taken a child and abandoned a child and left them, isn't it upon that child when they come to find out and look for their family? And then when they find their family, they just want to fill in the part about, oh, okay, that's who you are, okay. Now, if the child won't accept you, do the child got a right? Do children got a right if you leave them abandoned and left them to be in a deal with them and go through the... They supposed to now do everything when you ain't get shit about me? Now, I know some people are, oh my God, you. Nah, man. We got to say it right, man. If somebody trying to pose a deal and you ain't got our name in your mouth, then what family is we? Don't tell me about coming back to help. We ain't been helped since we've been here. You got a motherfucker by the damn balls? Play the game. Hey, you see them? You see my family over there? If we family, like you say, put it down part of your proposal. Because you know why? Because they telling you the deal. They telling you the terms. You just there. You just yaying. You just signing. You know, I know people, you know, oh man, we're going to go there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. If you choose to do that, that's fine. There's no knock on that. But see it for what it is. Be a realist. Look at it for what it is. You see what's happening. You see moving in. You see the mothers over there. Wait a minute. Men in here. You giving a woman all this money. Huh? You giving her all this money. You ain't got no reason why I'm not saying you don't like her. You ain't taking her out. I'm not saying, no, I'm saying, is it totaling up? Is it totaling up? And at the end, what you looking for? So somebody investing in you. Ladies, what that mean? What that mean? Huh? You and your mind, he think he trying to get, he think he gonna get, huh? Or you are, oh, he gonna get, right? Either way, right? So here we is, one end on the original deal, sent us over here, and then we went through and been beat up all over here, and then when we go back, we're gonna have to go back and deal with all that too. If you choose to, that's your choice. I'm not here to tell you not. I'm trying to say where we at in the deal. What's our guarantees? Otherwise, we gonna just stay, fight what we dealing with here, and deal with the consequences of whatever action we have to do here. Because going there is just gonna be another big ass fight or some shit that we had no dealings. We had nothing to do with. These were the deals you made, and now we got what? Really? Matter of fact, that summit they did last year, right? Last year they had a summit in 2021 up in Alaska. For those who didn't know, right? And remember, these people, they got their partners with these people, right? Now, these people was willing to say this on the very first day of the summit. Did y'all probably didn't even know this? Check this out. Huh? Look at this. Alaska summit. China accuses U.S. of what? Huh? That was in that summit last year, 2021. The people who are in there who are investing with you had enough to say this is what they said, right? Let me show you. Look. Read it for yourself. I ain't got to read a lie, huh? We believe that it is important for who? What? Okay? Oh, you gonna leave now? All right. Because y'all don't want to be real about it. Y'all want to keep playing this game. Our skin is our game. Everybody's skin. You sent this one, we come back, I do it again. But see, your partner over there, he came in, told him straight up, look, man, look what y'all doing to them. Y'all he talk about us about the game we running over in our country. But look what you doing to them. You sit down at the proposal, what we should have heard, other than this cat sitting here saying this.
Men and women and children were brought to our shores in chains, subjected to unimaginable cruelty. My nation's original sin was that period.
Right? He admitted to that, right? They admit to that. But y'all, where's it coming out of y'all mouths about nothing? They ain't said nothing. Now, who you heard speak, she ain't part of the game no more. She's a bystander, she's an ex, right? Saying, yo, they know what it is, but we don't see it because, again, we see a lot of brothers and sisters who are using, I guess you could say, video blogs and stuff like that. And what they're doing is they're reporting from over there, and they're finding out that it's not as easy for us to come over there. There's a lot of restrictions and criteria. I'm like, wait a minute. Why is it, that should be the easiest part for us to do, but that's not. It's not. It's a certain criteria. There's a certain ones you want. So I hear people, oh, I don't want the Pookie in the Ray Rays. Oh, you don't want the Pookies in the Ray Ray? Well, should we a family? If I'm good, they good too. What is it a difference in? Is it difference in being one or the other? You only that if you this kind really accept that kind. So there's a criteria to my Africanness. there's a criteria to my Africanness. If I'm a Pookie, I'm not worthy. So I'm only African if I'm upstanding and got money and could benefit off me, right? Come on, man. Come on. You gotta quit playing like that, right? Right? 4,441,830. Right? So, a matter of fact, you see them do this? Did y'all see this pop up? More than 70 Asian American groups urged Biden to create Black Reparation Commission. Huh? the ones of the descendants that came from the Japanese internment camps put out an article and proposed a letter to Biden. Okay? Did y'all see that? That group of 76 organizations that was representing the Japanese American and Asian American communities. It was Wednesday when they sent the letter to Joe Biden demanding. Now they said demanding. This ain't even the nation. This is people who were descendants of those people who were part of the internment camps that they took out of really the Latin nations. The ones they came out of the Latin nations. And according to when you do the research on here, you'll find out that a determination ended up happening. They was given allotment of this, but they said they have not fruition yet, and they think that the timeline is about to expire. And that's really, again, that's the one reason why they're doing what they're doing. Matter of fact, it kind of reminds me of the conversation of this.
You made kind of a provocative comment in your new book here, Mug, and I think it's on page 151. You write that various groups, feminists, gay rights groups, and those who are defending immigrants have commandeered the black civil rights experience.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because I think it's one of the most important points of the book. I mean, I think the way liberals have treated blacks like children and many of their policies have been harmful to blacks. At least they got the beneficiary group right. We do have to, I mean, we shouldn't. There is the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow laws. We don't owe the homeless. We don't owe feminists. We don't owe women who are desirous of having abortions, but that's, or gays who want to get married to one another. That's what civil rights has become for much of the left. They dropped the blacks after 5 minutes.
Immigrant rights are not civil rights?
No, I think civil rights are for blacks.
See, this is essentially the problem, and the Republicans don't
understand. What have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country.
But you see, most of us are either immigrants or are the descendants of immigrants, and we understand that not everybody. There are Native Americans, but we understand in this country. We understand in this country that kind of self-deportation, making things so difficult for immigrants, for undocumented immigrants, that they have to leave, or the DREAM Act, vetoing, threatening to veto the DREAM Act, which is what Romney has said. I mean, and again, we have Governor Romney, who is basically taking a position that is anti a large and the fastest growing segment of the electorate.
And here's the thing, if Republicans don't do something with immigration, and if Republicans are so far away from Latinos, they're going to lose not only this election, they might lose the White House for generations.
The future.
And Texas could turn from
why the
red to
Democrats
blue.
are dropping the blacks and moving on to the
They're not
Hispanics
dropping
because
the
they're a
blacks.
larger group of Hispanics now. But could I just say to
true.
Jorge, I hate to disagree with you when you're attacking President Obama, but I think the point on immigration is you can have open borders or you can have a welfare state. You cannot have both.
All right. So with that being said I just was talking about how this group here has proposed, right? The Japanese 70 is really 76 Asian organizations, okay? Proposing a Biden for Black Reparations Commission. Now, as you heard the conversation with Ann Coulter, right? And what they were talking about is how people commandeer on Black Americans. Commandeer. All that would, again, let's go back. Commandeer again. Keep that number in mind for those who need to know that number. 4,441,830, right? That was the number in 1860s of our people, supposedly in 1860, right? That was the number. So when you talk about anything being established for anybody outside of that, which originally of the Constitution was for white only, the Constitution is for white people only. You only two things that we of the 4,441,830 could only be according to the Constitution is what? Slaves or property. I don't care if that 13, 14, 15 amendment I told you already. 1861 took care of all that. right? So when they say commandeer, she's talking about how everybody comes here under that to come to get their position. They come to the table with a plate. But when it comes to you, they have to use you to get theirs. What are you talking about, Mr. Buck? Are you trying to say that you trying to say, now wait a minute, you're going to goddamn, that's it? Wait a minute. You want to take away from what they said? They're going out, putting their neck out there? Okay. Now again, more than 70 Asian American groups urged Biden to create Black Reparation Commission. That sounds good on face. But see, they also got a fight that they not mentioning. They're not telling you that they had got their commission and how they got a determination and that it was done in 2020. I think it was February 2020. And then, there's a lot of time. There's a time. Matter of fact, the reason that many of you are part of the 4,441,830 need to know this is because go look at how when people keep telling you, oh, HR 40 is just a study. Well, they're trying to show you that HR 40 is a study that gets you to get to the money. How else you going to get the money? So you got to use the HR 40 to get the money. And see, they went through the process. And if you go study and look at what they did, it's going to diagram how they did it. But the thing is, this particular group, those that were part of the Latin American group, didn't get no bread. So they've been finally fighting. In 2020, they got their determination. And guess what? It's about to expire. But when you read it, they try to say that ours is about to expire to make you believe that they did what they did because they say, you know what? Black folks, the HR 40 about to expire. And you're like, wait a minute, it's about to expire? How? How's that? The way I understand it, I thought it had to be a law. And then they may have a stipulation inside with the law of a time frame, but it hasn't even gone, it hasn't gone to the floor yet. Right. So I heard some people talk about this, but you don't do your due diligence. You didn't go and really look at that and try to find where are they coming from with this? Because everybody got their reason. Oh, we need you, black folks, to come back over here. We need you. You need to do this for them. And yet at the same time, they got an agenda behind it. You get what I'm saying? Oh, Mr. Blood, you so divisive. I'm not. We can't be played for fools. We can't be letting everybody try to play us like we some damn fools that they can say us any damn thing and then we just fall in line. Everybody been playing us. That's the whole problem. You can't come here, talk about something, talk about we family, then when you ain't got in your mouth, our name ain't even in your mouth. We ain't even be sitting at the table. That's what should have been the first damn thing. Well, they need to have them as a representative, since we in that country, have somebody for them representing them that's part of us. No, that ain't part of none of that, because you ain't got nothing. But so now you want to cry and say, we need you. We need you to come back. Come on, man. This ain't being divisive. We got to see for what it is. We can't let people keep playing us. As much as intent, they're trying to make it seem like they're really trying to, but you got to be able to see the underlining to it. If you think I'm lying, go read for yourself and then come and say, Mr. Bowman, you full of shit. That's not what it says. But I know you won't be able to do that because I did my due diligence. I looked at what that was. So they have, yes, they are putting it out there. So again, that makes it look like, yeah, you supporting us. But at the same time, you got an agenda too. Your agenda is you ain't getting yours. So the group that's, again, the big group, huh? Matter of fact, let me show you something. Did you know that they said it's the 80 billion person just was born, I think it was November 15th, right? 8 billion people on the planet, according to them, right? 8 billion people. And how many people did they claim that there is of Black Americans, right? Let me show you something, right? Black population in the United States, 46.9 million, 14.2% of the United States of America, 46.9 million, right? People say, oh, we just a community, we just a neighbor. Really? Really? That's all we are? Let me show you this map. right? China got 1.4 billion. India got 1.4 billion. Then look at the United States. The third largest country in the world, according to them, is the United States, right? You see the rest of those numbers as you go down, right? Right? You see those numbers. See the top 10 there. And so with that being said is, the fact is, this is a whole, okay, country, continent, nation, right? And look at the numbers that they're showing. Now, remember how many I said we had, right? Remember I showed you what we had, right? Let me break it down a little bit more, right? Right? I went too far down. I got to go back, don't I? Because that went too. Now look at that. That at the top there is what? 71. So no. Yeah. Go back. Now I want you to see something. I have to let it run the way that I did it. The only way I can show you is to let it make you run its course. Now remember, we 46.9 million according to what they said, and that is a nation in itself. Did y'all know that? We like the 33rd largest nation in the world, but we inside of a nation. We're like 32, 33, 34 in numbers as a nation inside of a nation. Why you think that black people could swing when it comes to politics? We be swinging, and where we go, it go. Where we go, it go. Why is that? Because we got numbers. We got numbers. And so what you have to do is you got to keep us divided so that we be splintered. Right? You get us on the gender, feminism, you get us on LGBT, you get us about Republican, Democrat, you get us all divided up. But if we was one block, we shifting and we turning things, right? That's what we can do with it. But the point I'm trying to say here is 46.9 million people, we would be a country in Africa. We would have our own country in Africa. And you treat us like a ragtag, like we just a little neighborhood of people. Now, the next biggest people would probably be in South America, right? They'd be big in there. So outside of Africa, South America, and then there's us, right? And so it's kind of funny how just like what Ann Coulter was talking about, how people come and commandeer. How you commandeering with 46.9 million people? And we sitting here, and every time when something getting divvied up, we ain't nowhere at the table. And somebody, oh, you could come back with us. We ain't never got no deal nowhere. Nobody make no promises. Ain't nothing on the bottom line, but we supposed to be loyal to you. We have to be loyal to ourselves. Right? We're going to have to be loyal to ourselves. Deals you make, them the deals you're going to have to deal with. You can't put us in the situation that we had do it all according to that story. If you follow that story, you can't put us in that situation, and then we went through all this shit to get to here, and then you say, well, come back over here now, and then while we come back over there, it's gonna be even way worse than what it was when we left. If you're gonna say 16, 19, 400 years ago, it's gonna be way worse than it was when they left the first time, according to that story. You get what I'm saying? So we had to sit and say, wait a minute, okay, what's in our best interest? What's in our best interest? Is it our best interest for that? Or is it what you gonna do? You gonna just let it go take the car? Wait a minute, hey, I don't want that. But how else you going to, again, what did they say? What did Enchantment say? What? Because we've been living like this the whole time. Have we not? Hold on. Can you give me that one more again? Give me to that one more again. Give me that one more again. The world is cold. Oh, we know about that. The world is cold. We live in the most, what do they call it, the most diverse country in the world. The world cold, because they'll sell us out and tell us in our face we don't deserve nothing. After all that what we did to give you a preserve, a place to come, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve no money. The world is cold. We know about that, don't we? Huh? Our friends are few, right? Our friends are few. We don't got no friends. John Henry Clark always said, you ain't got no friends. Right? Huh? And then they tell us, since you left, they took a part of us. Oh, really? What can we do? Huh? Now it's you that we need. Huh? I'm not trying to be divisive, y'all, but don't let nobody play us either. I know everybody what they down with what they standing for, but you know what? Are we talking about tangibles? We talking about right? So even on that side, what you got for us too? We ain't gonna give no promise to talk about why everybody else is helping and doing for everybody else, but you ain't got nothing in the bag for us. Only thing we got is a skin color. That's our relationship, a skin color. Right? We just skin color folks. But when it really boils down to what guarantees do we got? The only guarantees we got is where we at and what we know. And what they cannot disprove, we know to be true. And as that fruition itself, that's the only game we gonna be worried about. Anything else, we ain't do that, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to keep it 100. I got to keep it 100, man. I know everybody don't believe that, but that's how it is. They sitting there saying that. You don't see the agenda behind that? Oh, yeah, give the black people because you should do that. But they got an agenda behind it. Come back over here and help us look at it. What? So, no. So, we just going to have to let it ride out because why? Let me show you this, what I seen before we get up out of here. And let this marinate because this really is what really represents about us. Check this out. So if that don't move you, you don't feel nothing. You know why? You ain't part of that. Everybody want to play us and make it seem like, wait a minute, what our people, again, the 4,441,830, the descendants that we today, as today being the representative of. That's what liberty, we the ones still in shackles. We the ones still there. We looking for that. But everybody found a place of refuge for themselves. You got a place to go for refuge where you go, but we got nowhere to go that gives us the same afforded benefits that people come from everywhere else to get. So we still in shackles. We don't expect you to come here doing as many people do, expect people come here and have the same plight and fight. But don't interfere with us. Don't have your agenda to use us to get to yours without us getting ours. Don't try to use us and think we don't see it. We see it. Some of us are blinded. Some of us are stuck on the fact that they want to believe everything we've been told. But even that, they've been told, and the game that they selling may not be true. But only time is going to reveal all that. But we do know 46.9 million is a nation. No matter where we go, we're going to change the dynamic no matter where we go. We bringing a lot to the table, but don't nobody want us to get not anything. Get what I'm saying? So on this so-called Christmas edition, WeUpReport, I'm your host, Mr. Blow Your Mind. To know you new, again, click that like button, subscribe button. This is what we do at WeUpReport. I'm the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. 11 years going on, y'all. I can't get 100, 200 views. Used to get hundreds of thousands and all that. Not you, not you. So only way you can contribute to this show, you do the best way you can. We got topics. We don't be looking for the trend. We don't do that. We just put what we see and put it together and give you the display from the way I see it. Eventually, I'm going to have it where I can have people come on. We can talk, dialogue, get all that other stuff and so forth. But until that happens, this is the way I got to do it. And I thank each and every one of you who came here. And, some people going to be upset when they hear this on the replay. Oh, you divisive. You hate this. No. We got to take care of ours first, man. People ain't got our names in their mouth. Because you know the thing, we got a sickness in this country with. We always got, we love everybody. We fight for everybody. But do you ever hear it in reverse? Let me say that again. We got a sickness in this country where we always, for everybody. We fight for you. We fought for you. We fought. But in reverse, we don't hear them saying it for us. So when do you have to say, you know what? I got to focus more about me and mine. And as I get better and stronger, as I say, take the thorn out of my eye, then I can come help you take the thistle out of your eye. And that's been a WeUpReport. To the next show, y'all. And to the next show.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.